Hey, history. Thank you guys so much for joining me here this lively conversation. If you're new to me and you don't really know what I do, again, my name is Sharika Matthews, and I work with high achieving women to help them create successful lives. But over the past 5 or so years, I work with these women at different levels of success. One thing that I've learned is that there is always this one thing that's keeping women from actually feeling successful, and that's having a successful relationship. So what I do is that I work with these women one-on-one to help them answer the question, am I in the right relationship? And that leads me to tonight's conversation about being a helpmeet, because I think a lot of us, especially those of us who grew up in the Christian church, who still go to Christian churches, we are always taught and drilled into our memorization Genesis 2:18 that says, it's not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him, or it may say I will make him a helpmeet, or I will make him a helpmate. And so we as women, we're groomed to be a man's helpmeet or a man's helper without really understanding what that is. And without understanding, if you apply a principle to your life and don't really understand what it means and what that looks like, it could lead to disaster. So what I want to do here tonight is really break down what a helper really is, or what a helpmeet is, and how that should show up in a relationship, and how it could be detrimental to you if you're doing it wrong or doing it in the wrong relationship. So let's break down the word helper. If you've been following me for some time, you guys know I love breaking words down. I love going to the dictionary and just looking up the meanings of words to make sure that we're all on the same level. We all have the same understanding of what we're talking about. So helper, helpmeets, helpmates all has the root word help. And so when I look up help in the dictionary, I looked up helpmate in the dictionary. It says a helpmate is a helpful companion or a partner, especially one's husband or wife. So helpmate is defined as a helpful companion or partner. So then I looked up the word help. Help means to make it easier for someone to do something. I want you to write that down. Help means to make it easier for someone to do something. So what does that mean? If a woman is designed to be a helper, a woman is designed to be a helpmate, that means that when you are in a man's life, you are designed to help make something easier for him. So that means that the man you are with, number one, has to be in action. You see, some of us try to come into a man's life and take over. Some of us try to come into a man's life and do things for him. Some of us try to come into a man's life and motivate him and inspire him and do all this stuff for him to get him to action. But when you are he's already in action. He already has a plan going. He's already doing something to make his life better, or to make, other people's lives better. He has to be in action. You cannot be a helper or a helpmate to someone who ain't doing nothing. So you don't have to be his motivation. He has to be self-motivated. He has to have his own self-discipline. So when you are a helper, in order to understand if you are being a helpmate or a helpmeet to the wrong person, ask yourself, is he in action before you step in? Being a helper means also that he has to know what he's doing or know where he's going. He has to have some kind of direction, some kind of game plan, a blueprint or something. Sometimes we mistake action and busy work. There's a difference between action and busy work, even in your own life. The same principles that apply to your own life as an ambitious woman, as a go-getter woman, as a woman who's about her business, applies to his life. So in order to be a helpmate to him or a helpmeet to him, he has to have a plan and have a direction where he's going. You cannot come into a man's life and see that he's busy, and then all of a sudden, I want to be his helper. I want to be his helpmate. I want to help him grow his business. I want to help him get his finances ordered. I want to help him do this and this, without first asking, does he have a direction? Has he began with the end in mind? where is he going? Okay. And the third thing is, in order for you to be a helpmate to a man, he has to be ready to receive you. See, a helper is a giver. And in order for you to give to a man, he has to be open and ready to receive what you have to give him. That means that he's not driven by his ego. That means he's not controlled by his pride. That means he is grounded, he is balanced, he is rooted, he is spiritually connected, he is emotionally mature, right? So when you go and try to become a helpmeet or a helpmate to a man who won't receive help, who won't ask for help, who won't position himself to receive help, then that is a recipe for disaster. I know that there are times where there are some men who want to take everything from you, right? But see, when you're in a relationship is an exchange of energy. It's an exchange of energy, which means that when you give, he receives. When he receives, he gives back to you. When he gives back to you, then you give. So there's this cycle, an exchange of energy. If he's doing all of the receiving and you're doing all the giving with the hopes that, oh, if I pour into him now and to me later, that's a recipe for disaster. That's why being a helpmate is not a good thing if you don't really understand what it means to be a helpmate and how to be aware and know if the person that you're with is ready to receive a helpmate into his life. If he is not in action already, meaningful action, intentional action, purposeful action, he's not ready for a helpmate. If he doesn't know where he's going or doesn't know what he's working towards, he's not ready for a helpmate. If he's not ready to receive help from you, if he's not ready to give and receive, give and receive, give and receive, have that balance, have that flow, he is not ready for you as a helpmate. So what does this mean for you, right? If you're going into a relationship or you're in a relationship, this means you don't go into a relationship thinking that, oh, he needs me, I got to do things for him. No, you don't have to do things for him. You don't have to take over his life or take over his finances or take over his housekeeping or take over of any of these things. You are there to help him do something he is already doing. It means that you don't have to push him and motivate him and inspire him to do something because he's self-motivated. He already has the momentum going in his life. He already has that energy momentum going in his life. That means you don't have to correct him or fix things for him. You see, some of us, where we get in trouble as women, we see ourselves as a fixer. We identify with being a healer. We identify with being a coach, and I have been guilty of that, y'all. We identify with a lot of that. And so we go into a relationship thinking, oh, I'm a better financial person than him. I'm a better this than him. So let me tell him how to do it. Instead of going into the relationship and say, hey, I see that you're doing this. Would you like for me to partner with you on this? Or would you like for me to help you with this? You have to ask instead of just asserting yourself with that. Because when you assert yourself, especially with a man, it's not going to be received. And then it also means as a helpmate, you don't have to sacrifice yourself. You don't have to sacrifice your resources, sacrifice your dignity, sacrifice your money, sacrifice your mind, sacrifice your energy. It does not call for you to sacrifice all of you. And this is another place where we struggle with. We think that we have to sacrifice who we are and sacrifice in order to get the man and keep the man. And that's not a true statement. You don't have to sacrifice all of you and lose yourself in the relationship and lose yourself in his goals and his vision. You don't have to lose yourself in all of that. You can still work and maintain your vision while still showing up and being a helper for him. So, when it comes to being a helpmate, especially in a relationship where you're not married or where you are just dating, you can find yourself being taken advantage of. Why? Because you are not in a committed relationship. You're not committed to a future. You see, sometimes we show up in relationships. I'm talking to the women now. We show up in relationships trying to prove ourselves to men that we are wife material. Has anyone ever been guilty of doing that? Type a Y in the comments if you have been guilty of at one point in time trying to prove yourself to a man that you are wife material. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. Wife material is a posture that you have. You see, you're already a wife. You're already a long-term partner. It shows up in how you walk and how you talk and how you present yourself to the world and how you present yourself to your partner. It's not something you have to act out. It's not something you have to prove. It's just who you are. But when you put yourself in this position, hey, Agnes, when you put yourself in this position to be a man's helpmate and there is no long-term commitment, then, and you're sacrificing yourself, you are doing things for him that he should be doing for himself. What happens is you put yourself in a position to be controlled. And being in a controlling relationship, what I would consider an abusive relationship, because when you are controlled, and half the time we don't even realize we're being controlled. When you are controlled by a man who's insecure, a man who just has a big ego, you lose yourself, you lose your power, you lose your vision, you lose your life. Not literally, but I mean, you begin to sever your ties to your community, sever your ties to your friends, sever your ties to your own vision. You lose yourself, you lose your life in that. And that's not what you want to do. When you begin to be a helpmate to a man who's not ready for you, then you become resentful. You begin to give too much to him, and you find yourself waiting for him to give back to you, and it never happens. So now you have this built up anger. It's like, dang, I'm always, putting out money. I'm always doing this for him. I'm always helping him. I'm helping him build his business. When am I going to get that back in return? And let me tell you, I have been guilty of that. And actually, that was probably the main to get married. When I decided to get married, the man I married was not ready for a helpmate. He was not. But I positioned myself to be his helpmate because he said to me that he wanted to be married. And when he said that he wanted to be married, then that put me in wife mode. That put me in, okay, I got to start doing this. I got to start helping him and supporting him, making sure that he has a place to stay, making sure that he is ready for his job interviews. I started asserting myself into his life to make his life easier. But what I was doing is that I was doing things for him. And so I kept pouring into him. I kept doing things for him. I kept giving, even married him in the position of me giving, and not receiving. And then after we got married, I'm like, okay, things will get better. He's going to start pouring back into me now that I am his wife and he is my husband. Y'all think that happened? It did not happen because the pattern had been set. You see, I did not require him to have a plan before we got married. I did not require him to be in intentional and purposeful action before we got married. I did not require him to start producing fruits before we got married. I decided upon myself, without conversation or, permission, if you will, to be his helpmate to a man that was not ready for it. I was proving myself that I was wife material, and in the process, I became resentful. And then once you go from being resentful, sometimes you end up going into mother mode, meaning that you begin to take care of him. Yeah, Zuzi, requires, you got to have requirements. But if you don't have those requirements and you get to this place where you're resentful, then you're like, okay, let me just go ahead and take care of things. If he doesn't do it, then I will. How many of you said that if he won't do it, I will? And then you find yourself fixing your own car. You find yourself changing the filter in your air conditioner home. You find yourself cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You find yourself picking up the kids and then taking them to school. You find yourself doing everything in the household. And essentially, you put yourself in the position of being his mother. And let me tell you this. I don't know no healthy man who desires to be with his mother. And so now you've created a relationship that is unhealthy. You created a relationship that is dysfunctional, all because you was trying to be a helpmate without first understanding what it meant to be a helpmate. And then two, without understanding or without having clear guidelines on how to identify if I see your comments, or you find another man to do it, right? Let's not go there today. We go there. I love it. I lost my train of thought now. But what was I saying? You created a dysfunctional relationship. You created a relationship that is not healthy, and it doesn't serve either one of you. So whether or not you're in a long-term relationship or you're married, now you're kind of stuck with each other because now you got to make a decision. I've invested so much time and energy into somebody. I invested, we done moved in together. We got bank accounts together. We got children together, but I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I'm acting like his mama, and I see him as a kid. Have you ever said to a man or said in your mind about your man, you acting just like a kid? You want to know why? Because you're acting like his mama. Hey, Deborah. Thank you. Hey, Judy. Yep. Unhealthy and dysfunctional. You're acting like his mother. So what I want you to take away from this video tonight is if you think that you are showing up as a helpmate, as a helpmeet, as a helper in your relationship, and you're not in a symbiotic relationship where there is an exchange of energy going on, I want you to step back and reevaluate and ask yourself, number one, do I understand what it means to be a helper? Number two, ask yourself, hey, Angela, ask yourself, is he ready to receive me? Is he in action? Does he know what he's doing? Does he know where he's going? And then ask yourself, is he allowing me to add to his life? Is he allowing me to add to his life? And then are you being a helper or are you trying to take over? Because, and this is another point I want to make too, is that you see a helper, they don't do all of the work. A helper doesn't even do most of the work. They're just helping some, not helping all. So on a scale of, I'm a numbers girl. So on a scale of 1 to 10 of what needs to be done, right? He should be doing the majority of that. So he should be at like a 5 or a 6. And I would even push it to say like a 6 or a 7. And you come in with that 2 to 3 to add up to make that 10. Okay? You are a helper. You don't do everything for him. And that is what creates dysfunction. That is what creates conflict in the relationship, because now y'all are going at each other's throat because he don't think you respect him. You think that he doesn't value you. And it's all because there has been a misunderstanding and a misalignment of who you are and how you're showing up in this relationship. Guys, all right, here we go. Trying to see if I can show this comment. That's okay. Deborah says, I am loving this knowledge, real talk. Somebody told you to teach the truth to us women. No more strong Black women. But here's the thing, Deborah, you're still strong when you are standing in your power and know what it means to be a helpmate. What we're not going to do is be the mule. What we're not going to do is do all of the work and carry all the weight for everybody. That's what we're not going to do anymore, okay? Can we agree to that? Can we type in the comments that we are not going to be mules anymore, that we're not going to do all the work, that we're going to hold our men just as accountable as society and everybody else hold women accountable? We cannot complain about men not being men if we don't allow them the space to be a man. We cannot complain about that. You gotta let them step up. You gotta step back long enough to let them step up. Because what we do is that we step back for a second, give them 30 seconds to try and be a man. It's like, oh, nope, you don't know what you're doing. Let me do this. Let me do it right. Let me show you how it's done. No, boo, you can't do that. You cannot do that. You got to step back for a while. Give them a minute. Give them an hour if you have to. Give them a day or a week to fully step up and claim their power. You got to give them the space to do that. Okay? And it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you complacent. It actually makes you strong when you allow somebody to step up and be who they're called to be. And when you allow them to step up and they don't, that allows you to see who they are, see what their character traits are, and allow you to make a decision, a fact-based, information-based, evidence-based decision to continue with this relationship or not. But if you're always making up for them, if you're always trying to take over for them, you're so busy doing that you're not taking the time to be. You're so busy doing, you're not taking the time to observe. And then 5, 10, 15 years from now, you're like, how did I get here? What happened to me? How did I become everything to everybody? It's because you're too busy being. Yes, Angela, you're not going to be a mule anymore. Thank you. Hey, Latrika. Hey, Agnes again. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we're done with that. We're done with that. I want you guys to make a commitment from here on out that you're not going to do all the work. You're not going to be the mule. You're going to be the queen. I use this analogy all the time because being a queen is a posture you must have. You see, a queen doesn't always immediately go out to battle and on her throne. She has advisors. She has people who bring her information, and she makes wise decisions about what needs to be done next. She gets into action when she has to, not every time she's called to. Just because they call your name doesn't mean you have to respond immediately. If you're responding every time somebody calls your name or you always see something needs to be done, you're stepping into the role of mother. Because guess what? The women on this stream, you may have children. When your child calls your name, especially when they're 2, 3, 5, 7 years old, you jump up to see what they're doing. If a man calls your name every time he needs something done, guess what? You're gonna be his mama. All right, you guys, what you say, Deborah? Yeah, women are the receivers and men are the givers. Sometimes we have to wait for them to comprehend, understand, and then act. Your job as a woman is to cheer him on and be patient or weed the type of man out upon introduction who doesn't meet your needs. Yes, that's well said, Deborah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, you guys, so that's what I have prepared for you today. I want you guys to reevaluate this definition of being a helpmate. And I want you to actually show up more in your power, not just in your romantic relationships, but how you do anything is how you do everything. So how has this indoctrination of being a helpmate or a helpmeet or a helper, how has that affected your friendships, especially with male friends? How has it affected how you show up at work? How has it affected your role in the community? How you do anything is how you do everything. And so you begin to see seeds and different evidence of how this is affecting your role in all of the areas of your life. So you want to work on correcting that and step back onto your throne, put on your crown, hold on to that posture of being a queen, and then and only then are you truly being a helper. All right, you guys, I hope that this I hope that this video was a blessing for you. If it was, continue to leave comments below. If you have a question, ask your question and I will respond as soon as I can. If this has been a blessing, please go ahead and share this video with your friends and your family or whomever you think is going to benefit from this. All right, you guys, so this is my last live video for this week. I will be back again on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I'll put out a schedule what I'll be talking about then. So be sure to tune in. All right, you guys, thank you guys so much for all the love, for all of the comments, for all of the love, the support you guys are giving me. All right, and I hope you guys have I can't talk now. I hope you guys have a great evening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.